Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing Irish Freedom, which is a solitaire game designed by David Kershaw and published by White Dog Games. And it simulates the Irish War of Independence from 1919 to 1921, and also the Irish Civil War from 1922 to 1923 that followed. And the game, actually kind of coolly, you can play either the Irish War of Independence or the Irish Civil War, or you can play them kind of together. And how you end the War of Independence impacts the setup for the Civil War. So that adds a lot of variability to that, and that's what we're going to be doing here today. Now, as you know, I have very limited table space, so White Dog Games was actually kind enough to allow me to create a module for this. Now, I will say in the official module, the rules and the play aid are not included in the module because you need to buy the game in order to get those. But I have them here so that I can refer to them quickly and hopefully get this right. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the rules. The overall objective is to drive British morale down so that on a die roll at the end of the turn or at the start of the turn, I can get the British to the negotiating table and negotiate Irish freedom. But I think the rules will become very obvious as we move along here, and I will sort of, especially early on, kind of describe what I'm doing. I'll mention in advance that one rule I tend to forget is when you win in combat as the Irish, you are allowed to upgrade one of your units from that combat, and I tend to sort of go too fast and forget that all the time, so you can scream at me in the comments when I do that. But here's the basic turn sequence. There's a random event phase, a treaty check phase, British upgrade phase, British move phase, Irish move, recruit phase, and end turn phase. And we basically skip the first two on the first turn. So we start by doing the British upgrade phase. And so I'm going to roll a die, and that's going to select a region. So basically I selected region 3, which is Ulster. You can see Ulster has a die up there. So I've selected Ulster. Now, in the British upgrade phase, I can replace an RIC unit, which is the kind of the lowest, the Royal Irish Constabulary. It's the lowest sort of value Irish unit. I can replace that with a black and tan unit. And you can see that the numbers on the units represent how good they are at fighting in the three different terrain types. There's brown is boglands. It's a little hard to see. Brown is boglands. Here you go. Green is townships and gray is cities. And so this unit has those combat values in those places. So that's the end of the British reinforcement phase, but now we do the British move phase. And again, we roll to pick a region, and just making sure I get this right. I select the most powerful British unit, and it moves to the region with the weakest Irish unit. So that is going to cause my army to move here to take on these Irish guerrillas. So we're in a brown hex. The guerrillas like to hang out in the boglands, but the army has a 3 and the guerrillas have a 4. So what that means is that the attacker, in this case, the unit that moves in is the attacker. The attacker in this case is going to get a +1 to this combat die roll. So we roll, and we get a 6, and 6 is 2 defenders eliminated, any others retreat. So I can't actually, I can only eliminate 1. So we eliminate that 1 unit, and that is the end of that. And the British their units don't upgrade when they win in combat. And in this case, it wouldn't anyway, because the army units are in fact the highest value units that they have. Okay, so now it's my turn, and it is the move and recruit phase. And I have two actions I can take. I can move or I can recruit. And So I can take any combination of those two. So I'm going to start by doing a recruit action. And so one variation on recruit is upgrading. And so I think what I'm going to do this turn is I'm going to get a little bit more stability here. So I'm going to upgrade a gorilla, a blue gorilla to a blue regular. And I'm going to upgrade this Irish mob to a set of gorillas. That doesn't really help me that much now that I look at that, because that unit, he's a 1 in the city anyway. Both of them are a 1 in the city. I would need to get the gorillas elsewhere. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to roll to place. I'm gonna recruit, but I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna place a unit. So so I roll a d6 to select an area and place a gorilla. Then I roll a d6 to select a region number. So what I do, sorry for the pause there, as I reminded myself how this works. I pick a region, so I can just choose where I'm going to go. So I think that I am going to choose the west here, and I roll a die to pick a region, and by region, it's these things inside of here. So 5 was the one I didn't want to get, so that's going to put me in there, and I select, so I'm going to place a gorilla in there, and now I roll another d6. I could probably start doing this. So it's a 3, so it is less than the region number, so I'm going to place a green gorilla in this space. Now, anytime you end a phase with 2 units in the same space, you have combat. So we're going to have combat here. So because I'm the unit that got put down, I'm the attacker. So I have a 1, and the RIC have a 2. So this combat, I have a -1 to this die roll. Well, that is going to basically just eliminate the unit, which I just spent time putting down. Okay, so that is the end of my turn. That's my 2 actions. I recruited, and I recruited, but then I lost a unit there. So now we advance the turn, and then we random event. So now a random event occurs. So we are going to pull a card from this deck, and we get the Limerick Soviet. The Limerick Soviet was a trade union strike action that took over Limerick City. Similar strikes elsewhere hampered British Army movement. So British units cannot move from one region to another this turn. Skip the British move phase if this happens. All right. I don't know. Well, that could happen if the British end up selecting this region, because since I don't have any units in there, they would move. So that's going to have a very limited impact, but maybe it will matter. Okay, after that, I do my treaty check phase. So I basically count up I get the British, get 1 per region with a British unit in it. Get a little sound of the dog slurping there. So the British have a region in a unit in all 6 regions. Hopefully do something about that soon. 1 per city area without an Irish unit in it. So these orange units are British units. You can tell by the flag in the lower left. So there's 1 city without an Irish unit, 2 cities without an Irish unit, 3 cities without an Irish unit, and 4 cities without an Irish unit. So British morale is at 10. So I don't even need to roll. I don't need to roll until morale gets to 5, because you roll a d6 and you have to roll greater than morale in order to force a treaty. And so I can't roll greater than a 10 on a d6. So with that, we are back around to the British upgrade phase. So we're going to pick a region. Oops, sorry, that one. So they're going to upgrade in Ulster. Okay, so they do not have an RIC unit. So what happens in that case is if they have a black and tan present, then an Irish mob may form. And I believe the reasoning behind this historically is the black and tans were this like incredibly violent, vicious group. and would lead to unrest. So so the British do not have an upgradable unit here. They don't have an RIC here. So I roll to decide what area this mob might turn up in, and it's going to turn up in the Boglands. So that's actually pretty good, because that means I don't have to have combat with anybody, which is good, because the mobs are pretty not that great. Okay. So that is the British. Start rolling green for this since it matches the region die color. So that's the British upgrade phase. Now the British roll to move, and they're gonna move in area 1. So they're gonna move their best unit to the area with the lowest Irish unit, which is gonna be here. So the army's gonna move into the bog. Now this is super interesting to me, because the army is not that great at fighting in the Boglands. They only have a 3 again the Boglands, and my mob and guerrillas have a 3. So this is an even die roll, and losing a British army unit would be a truly excellent result for me. So I'm looking for a low roll here. The British are the attacker because they moved. That's not what I wanted. So I believe I have to 1 defender eliminated, and any others retreat. So we are going to eliminate the mob. 1 second. Okay, I was just checking, and you eliminate the weakest unit first, so that we are going to eliminate that mob. And now these guerrillas are going to retreat. Now, this is going to be interesting, because this is going to create a combat, because anywhere they move to is going to create another combat. So I don't get to choose where they retreat to. I roll a die to find out where they retreat to. And they're going to retreat to Ulster. Now, we are going to be going up against the UVF. Now, we are the attacker, because we retreated into this space. We moved into this space, so we're the attacker. We have a 1. He has a 2. So we are rolling combat here, -1. That's a 2 result. So far, I have not been having a lot of luck. So 1 attacker eliminated, any others retreat. So I have now lost my Irish guerrillas up in Ulster. So that was a big swing, because I could have gone from like having an upgraded unit here and the army off the board to basically I have another region where I have absolutely nothing. Well, that is the end of that. So now it is my turn again, and I have an opportunity to move. So I'm going to start by upgrading this blue mob to guerrillas, which I know it'll allow me to upgrade them again later. And then I think that I'm going to recruit here in the Midlands. What I'd really liked, actually, wait a second, let me think about this. If I upgrade, yeah, the green. So one of the things about the game is the highest level unit for the green, which eventually become the anti-treaty forces, they aren't very good in urban. They're great in boglands, whereas the blue units are kind of good everywhere. So I was looking at, like, I'd love to be able to eliminate this unit. So I was looking at that possibility. So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to choose 2 move actions. And in choosing these 2 move actions, I am going to move my regulars to there. Because there's a road here, they're able to move. And then I'm going to move my guerrillas in here as well. And now I'm going to attack this RIC unit. I have a 3, he has a 2, so I've got a +1 on this die roll. And I really need fate to go my way here. It doesn't go my way again. All attackers retreat. So we all retreat to the same space. Let me confirm what happens when that happens. Okay, so it could be the same unit, the same area you were just in, and it causes another combat. So even die roll again, same result. And now we simply retreat up here to the Boglands. Well, if we could get the British to activate this this space, this region. That would be good next turn. All right, well, that did not turn out as well as I had hoped. So we end the turn. We're on to turn 3. And we now do the treaty check phase, which I think it's even worse than it was before. I mean, the British still have units in 6 areas. And I have 1, 2, 3. I still have 4 cities with no Irish units. Things can start to turn quickly, though, I will say. So just, hang with me here. Might get it turned around. The problem is in game turns, the number of VPs you score is directly related to how quickly you get a treaty. From my experience, you should eventually be able to force a treaty in this game, but how quickly you do it depends on dictates how many victory points you get. And with basically being on turn 3 and having had nothing good happen to me, things are a little bit rough. Now, I will also say, I actually forgot that I was supposed to do this, so I may have to do that again. No, so I might have had to check that again, depending on whether or not this random event put units on the board, but this happens before the treaty check. So, the UVF mobilization. The Ulster Covenant was signed by almost 500,000 people. Popular support for the UVF was high in Ulster. Place a British Orange UVF unit on any Irish unit in Ulster. If none, place it in a random area in Ulster. So I think, he eliminated all of my units in Ulster. Ulster is looking ugly. So we are going to place this unit here we rolled a 3, so we'll place it in the area. That is 3. Okay, so that doesn't change anything in terms of the treaty phase. So now we are rolling for British upgrades. So we'll find out which region we're talking about. So Cork. And they do have an RIC unit in Cork. So that comes off the board and upgrades to a black and tan. I'm pretty sure that was there. If I got that wrong, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that was there. So that is the British upgrade phase. Now for the British movement phase. 1. So they choose Dublin. So this guerrilla, which I just upgraded, is about to get smoked. Oh, dear. Okay. Well, he's got +3 to this die roll. That's a 6, so this blue guerrilla comes off the board before it can become useful. And my situation has just gotten that much worse. Wow. All right. Well, now it is back over to me, and right now I have 3 units on the board. Total. 3 units on the board. So I think it's time for me to start putting more units on the board. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place a unit here in Kerry. So I'm going to roll to determine what area it turns up in. So it turns up in area 5, which is here, and I believe I place a guerrilla. Place a guerrilla. Okay, and I'm placing a green guerrilla here. And then I am also going to take a slight chance and place a unit in the Midlands. So, okay, so that's good, so I place a blue guerrilla. And the reason I place a blue guerrilla, in case this hasn't been obvious, so I rolled this die, and this die did 2 things. It chose this area, that's where it goes, but in addition, if it's greater than this number, you place a blue unit. If it's less than that number, you place a green unit. And, so your blue units are more likely to appear in the lower numbered spaces. So we don't have any combat coming off of that. So we advance the turn again. Time is really ticking away on me here. And we are going to do another event. Belfast riots. Events in the war caused the simmering tensions between Protestant and Catholics in Ulster to explode into violence. Place a British mob in a random area in Ulster and a green Irish mob in a random area in Ulster. Well, oh well. I think this green Irish mob is not long for this world. So we will, let's see, we'll roll to just to keep things straight. Obviously, orange is for orange. So the British mob goes into Ulster. And the Irish mob... no problem. We're just going to face down this British army unit. So we're going to have combat up there with that Irish mob. And so the army unit has a +2. This is my best chance here because the army unit has a +2. But a 2 is not going to do it. I think that's just going to eliminate him. One attacker eliminated. The rest of them retreat. So that Irish mob simply disappears off the board. All right. That is the card phase. So now I don't think anything has changed here. So we have every region has a British unit in it. So that's 6. And we haven't changed the, 1, 2, 3, 4 cities have no Irish units. So I have not made a dent. I am very bad at the civil wars thus far. Okay. So now, first things first is I'm going to upgrade this to a regular. That will make him a little bit more able to fight. And I think I'm going to... let's see. Let's try and get another unit down here in Kerry. I'm just trying to build up some forces on the board at this point is what I'm trying to do. So we'll roll for the region. I just don't want a 6. Okay, so we basically place a green guerrilla in area 5. All right. Not great. Turn advances. Next turn, I've really got to start attacking, but I'm hoping I've got enough forces on the board next turn to actually begin doing some attacking. So, first things first, we do our random event. I need a good random event. Come on. Tom Barry was an excellent strategist, springing ambushes and rendering West Cork ungovernable. Place a flying column on any British unit in Kerry. If none, place it on any British unit in Cork. If none, place it on any... If still none, place it in a random area in Kerry. Well, there is a British unit here in Kerry. So we place a flying column on any British unit here. So we have an even die roll. And here's where we truly need some luck for the first time in this game. We have a plus... No, this is an even die roll because it's in a green area. Come on. There we go. So... the RIC unit is eliminated. Now, when British units, red British units are eliminated, they go here. And that becomes important because that impacts their morale. So the flying column, this unit was eliminated, so I can upgrade a unit, but the flying column doesn't have an upgrade available. They don't upgrade. They're the highest level unit, so that so nothing happens there. So now, when we do our treaty check, the British only have units in 5 areas. They no longer have any units in Kerry, but they still have 4 cities, so they are there. But they also get -1 per eliminated unit, which is 1. So now they are down to 8. And now I think next turn you're going to see me start making a dent in this fight for freedom. Okay, so now it's the British upgrade phase. Let's hope that they don't do anything completely sort of devastating to me. Like, just keep building up in Ulster. That would be good. Or in Cork. Cork is kind of a mess down here. Okay. So, again, they don't have any RIC units, so they can't upgrade. They do have a black and tan, so I'm going to place a mob here. The mob is going to fight the black and tans. Okay, let me just double check and make sure. The D6 is greater than the region number. It's blue, otherwise it's green. So we're placing a green mob there. So basically, this is going to be +2 for the black and tans. The black and tans are more effective in the townships. So +2 for the black and tans. So my Irish mob proceeds to go away. Okay, so now British movement. Let's figure out which is going to move. So they choose Kerry, but they have no units in Kerry. So nothing is going to happen in that case. Now it is our turn, and now it is time for me to start doing some things. And I believe the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move twice. And the movement that I'm going to make is I'm going to send this flying column to this area, to here, and this flying column to here. This army is currently sitting in the Boglands, stupidly, where it doesn't fight very well, and where I fight really well. So I'm going to target this army unit. Now, I will mention, only the flying columns and the regulars can move from an area to an area. Otherwise, like guerrillas can only move within. They can move to within the region that they're in. So I am facing down this army unit with a +3. There we go. So we have eliminated that British army unit. That really is an excellent result for me. Okay. Now it's not going to change things too dramatically, actually, in terms of the score, but it begins the process of clawing my way back. So it wasn't the big swing I was thinking about, but I think that'll be coming soon, because I think I can start clearing out the Midlands and the West soon. Okay, so we advanced the turn marker. We're on turn 6. So even so, I'm not going to get very good victory points for this game, even if I succeed. So G Division was a special branch of the Dublin Metropolitan Police responsible for counterinsurgency and intelligence operations. Replace any single random Irish non-mob unit in either of the Dublin city areas with a mob of the same color, if none, no effect. So interestingly, either of the Dublin city areas. So I don't have anybody in there, so that card has no effect. They've effectively cleared me out of Dublin. So now the British, again, still have units in 5 areas. They still have 4 cities. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, they have 5 cities without Irish presence. I probably moved out of a city. But that's fine. But then they have 2 units in British eliminated, so they're down to a 7. So I think next turn I may get to roll for a treaty. But let's see what the British do. So British upgrade phase. Sorry about that, RIC. So the British are going to be in Ulster. That's a good place for them to do their upgrade. They can't do any upgrade, but there is a black and tan. So time for a sacrificial mob. I would really love a 6. Well, this mob, this green mob, is going to be taking on the British Army. So -2 to this roll. A 3. I think that forces me to retreat, right? All defenders retreat. I guess that was the best result. Wait a minute. Sorry. What am I doing? Oh, no, yes, I'm the attacker. So that's a 3. So all attackers retreat. Yes, all attackers retreat. So let's see where I retreat to. Now I'd like a 6. Well, that's really not where we wanted to go. So he's got 5. So this is a -4 to this die roll. It's a 2, but I think that's still 1 attacker eliminated. So poor mob just got chased around the area and eventually eliminated. That is the British upgrade phase. Now we move on to the British move phase. Let's see what they're going to do. Okay, so this isn't great. So now we're looking at Ulster, and I have no units in Ulster. So the best British unit is going to move to attack the weakest Irish unit. So that means they'll move to another region to attack the weakest Irish unit. Just want to double check that. Oh, it's up here. Yep. So basically they're going to move here to the weakish Irish unit. Now this combat has some possibilities because I am only at a -1 here. So a nice low roll would help. That is awesome. Perfect. So that's a 1 or less. Sorry. He's got a +1. That's a 3. Sorry, that's a 3. So that's all attackers retreat. Okay. Don't roll a 6. All right, so he is going to retreat to here. So that's not as good a result as I was hoping for, only because it's going to make it harder to clear out the Midlands now. But that's okay. So now it's my turn. And I have a couple of options. I could obviously go and try and eliminate this black and tan. But I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to move this regular and this regular, and I'm going to attack this RIC unit in the west. That's going to give me a swing of 3 points because, well, 2 points, because I no longer have, 3 points, because I'm going to have units in a city. I'm going to have, the British are going to have no units here, and I'm going to have another British unit in the box. This is presuming that this combat goes well. I have a +2. It goes well. There we go. We're starting to make up for things. So that is the end of that. So the year advances to turn 7. So now let's check. This could be interesting. So the British only have units in 4 areas. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've completely cleared them out from the west and from Kerry. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4 cities without Irish units in it, but the British have lost 3 units. So for the first time, I get to roll for a potential treaty. Now I need to roll a 6, but at least I'm rolling. A 5 is not gonna do it. Except, I should do this first. Army auxiliaries. Specially recruited ex-officers to the British Army. The auxiliaries were as hated and feared as the Black and Tans. Place an additional army unit in a random area in a random region. Place a green mob in a random area in the same region. Oh, Lord, that's not good. So, we're going to place a British army in a random region in the Midlands. Wow, they have really fortified the Midlands. Whoa, man. I think I have to place a mob there. Oh, a random area in the same region. All right, so I place a green mob in that area. Well, that's sort of good, only because in the British move phase, I was worried now that they were going to start moving to the west, but actually they should just stay there. Okay, so my goal here is really to sort of like eliminate this unit in Cork this turn, because that will allow me to that will sort of allow me to really roll for the treaty. It's not going to be the easiest combat. I'm only going to be +1. Okay, but that is the British upgrade phase. So now I got to do the British move phase. So someone in Ulster moves now. Oh, so the strongest unit, which is the Black and Tans, they're going to move here and they're going to attack this mob. All right, this would be a nice upset. It's +1. 5. Nope. They will eliminate my Irish mob. Tans. Curse you. All right. I feel like this is my chance. If I can win it, if I can get the treaty on this turn, I'll be okay. Otherwise, I think there's so many British units on the board that this could get a little bit ugly. So, we are going to do 2 moves. We are going to move this unit to here, and we are going to move this unit to here. That's going to generate combat. We have 4, he has 3. We have a +1 to this. Yes, that's excellent. The hated Black and Tans are eliminated. So, we advance the year, or the turn, I should say. We draw a card. Reprisals. Reprisals were a savage and frequent aspect of the war. Towns were burnt, informers, whether real or imagined, were shot, old scores were settled, and petty vengeances satisfied. Roll a random area in each region. Any units in that area must immediately be moved to another random area in the same region. Holy cow. Well, this could be good. All right, let's just go. So Dublin. Okay, so we just pick 4. So there's nothing in there. So again, I'm going to assume that that means you don't do anything. So the Midlands. So everybody in this area is going to move. They're not going to move because that's the same. They just stay in that area. Let's go up here and deal with Ulster. So far, this has been a lot of dice rolling, but nothing happening. All right, let's do the West. So the guerrillas in the West are going to move. They're coming over here to defend against the forces in the Midlands. Kerry. So those guys are both going to move. They will both move over here. Wasn't a good move for them. Now this is the one I care about. If I can roll a 1 or a 2 and then a 5, I will occupy that city, which would be great. But I don't. Okay, but now let's check the treaty phase. So the British have now been eliminated from 3 areas. The British are now only have units in 3 areas. 1, 2, 3, 4 cities still do not have any Irish units, but the British have lost 4 units. So here we go. Drum roll, please. I need to roll a 4 or better to force the treaty phase. Okay. Oh, that was a shame. Okay, well, we continue. British upgrade, sorry about that, is in 6, but nothing is going to happen because they neither have an RIC nor do they have a black and tan, so nothing's going to happen. I really want to avoid rolling a 1 or a 2 here. 4. So that's the West, and the British have no units there. So that is that. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 things here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this. Oh, guerrillas can't move from an area to an area. I'm going to move this flying column into that city. That'll give me another sort of deduction on the morale chart. And then I think that I am going to, let's see. Oh man, in all of these places, I've got like a 50-50 chance of kind of sneaking a unit in. I think I'm going to take a chance on Dublin. I've got a 33% chance of actually sneaking a unit into that city, which would be another victory point. So I'm going to place a unit there. It's a 3. It's greater. That's excellent. That's what I need. See, that's making up for all the rough luck on the first turn. So I have now recruited a guerrilla in Dublin. All right. You know, I'm thinking I probably should have done that first because then I could have flipped him, but that's okay. Okay, so now we advance the year marker one more time, hopefully for the last time. We draw a random event. Bloody Sunday, one of many Bloody Sundays in Ireland's history. The squad, an elite group of assassins under Michael Collins, crippled British intelligence in Dublin. Eliminate any RIC unit in Dublin region. If there is none, replace any TAN counter in Dublin with an RIC counter. If still none, no effect. So we eliminate this RIC unit, and it says eliminated, so he goes there. And that is the end of that. All right. So now when we count this up, this should be really good. So the British start, they have units in 3 areas. At this point, there is 2 cities that have there's 2 cities that that don't have Irish units, and 5 units have been eliminated. Okay, I was just checking. I don't see anything in the rules that says whether or not morale can actually go to 0 or not, which is where it would be because they started here and they lose 5. I'm gonna just assume that it can be a 1. Doesn't matter. We do end up rolling higher than that 1, and we do end up signing a treaty on turn 9. So for getting a treaty on turn 9, I get 1 victory point. And the next thing I do is I set up for the Irish Civil War, but that will be the subject for the next video. Thanks for joining me here for a playthrough of the War of Independence for Irish freedom. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're enjoying the channel. We'll be back next time with the Civil War in the game Irish Freedom. But if leave comments with things that you'd love to see in the channel, games you'd like to see us play, improvements we can make, and we will see you next time on Agility Snips Gaming Table.